Looking at the game following Saturday night, obviously, as we discussed in the aftermath, it was a poor offensive performance, especially in the throwing game, and we have to get that fixed to be a better football team. As is the case, it's never as terrible as you think when you watch the tape in terms of your hope for going forward. The running game is close to being something that we can count on, and there are a lot of good things on the tape. Defensively, our pass defense has been very good. We've held both of our opponents to under 50% passing, or under 100 yards passing. That's not a right stat either. Under 150 yards right passing, and now certainly they're getting their lion's share of it through the running game. But that's partially because we're leaving them on the field too long. In both games, the time of possession has been out of whack. But I see reason for optimism. Kevin Prince is healthy. We've got reports today that he's feeling better today than he has felt in some time, so that's good news. And hopefully he can get a great week of practice, and we can come back and be an effective football team on Saturday night and get our first win of the season, get this season headed in the right direction. We're looking forward to that opportunity. Questions?
So Prince won't be on a pitch count this week?
I don't think so. I think he's ready to go. I think he feels, at least in talking to him this morning, that he'll be ready to go, and let's get going.
Rick, yesterday you said you decided to start quarterback after practice. Have you kind of moved back towards Kevin today?
Well, you know, looking at the tape and going through it, his reads in the run game were flawless. You know, certainly he's tight. There's a lot of eyes on the position, especially given the rough start in the opener at Kansas State, and you know, we didn't respond to that pressure very well on Saturday night. We've got to be able to hit passes, run and catch, and do all the different things that go along with being an effective throwing team. And we just got to relax a little bit and let that happen. There was a portion last year where the same guys who are playing right now, with the exception of Terrence Austin, had 3 straight games of over 300 yards passing. Obviously, as we've tried to install this offense, we've neglected something that we kind of took for granted in that our throwing game. We just kind of assumed that would be where it was. And in our concentrated efforts to try to get good at what we were learning, we've let that fall by the wayside in terms of its productivity and its proficiency. So we've got to work to make sure that both facets are where they need to be so that we can be an effective offense.
So let me just follow up. So is he the starter now? Or?
He's our starter.
And he will start as far as you know?
That's my plan, yeah. Richard Breho's is going to continue to compete and continue to be ready, and I think he's made positive strides, and I'm excited for him and his future. But right now, Kevin is still ahead in terms of managing our offense and is where we need to go.
Rick, in the preseason, there was a lot of optimism around the team, players, coaches, feeling that you guys might be underrated, that he likes to pick, whatever.
Right.
So there was a little bit of a disconnect after the first 2 games, and how do you manage a team that thought it was going to do pretty good, and then you come out with
that's a great question, and it's something we talked about yesterday. And all you do is you go back to the beginning, and you say, all right, how do we become a good team? And it's doing all the things that good teams do, which are the fundamentals of football. And we've got to make sure that every coach and every player buys into that and basically start the season again, if you will, in our minds. We've got to see if we can't come out of the box this Saturday night and be the team that we are capable of being. Certainly there were high hopes and expectations from within. I know that they weren't being shared externally, but we believed we had a chance to be a good football team, and we still do. And we're going to remain optimistic. We're going to remain diligent in our work towards doing what it takes to be a good football team. And that's what you do. And hopefully the ship will get righted as soon as this weekend against another top caliber opponent.
Rick, how are you preparing for Houston if they're not with Case Keenum in its day-to-day right now?
Oh, I think you have to expect it. He'll be ready. You know, he's a tough guy. It's not like he has to be in any contact this week. You know, you just have to anticipate that he'll be ready. And you have to anticipate that their offense, if you weren't able to go, would be exactly the same offense that you'd be playing anyway. So it won't change how we prepare for the game.
Getting back to your ship, you're well traveled, so you know the college ranks. Third year, shouldn't people be expecting more?
You asked that question at the earlier in the year, and I said yes. And it's fair, and I understand the disappointment. I totally understand it. I'm disappointed. I think everybody in the program is disappointed. But how do we respond to that disappointment is going back and rolling up our sleeves and doing the work that's necessary to become a good football team as soon as is possible.
Are your expectations out of whack?
You know, I don't think you temper your expectations this early in the season. I think you just keep working and you remain optimistic, but with a mind on doing the little things right on an everyday, every down basis, and coaches and players alike being very cognizant of that getting done.
I'm still struggling with the idea of expectations. I mean, one of the things that some people might suggest you're guilty of is optimism over the top, which sometimes can set a phony standard or bar for people.
Right.
And the perspective is you always got to reach for the stars and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But any of that in that you start the season against Kansas State, a game that some people might argue is winnable, and there's
And it was.
actually
We
a
had a
letdown.
chance to win.
Your kids are let down that quickly because they were told that this is going to be this great year, and all of a sudden it isn't?
You know, I don't think if you had every kid in here, they would have felt like because of the disappointment of the loss at Kansas State that all was lost. I did not sense that at all going into the Stanford game, that there was anybody in the program, coach or player, that felt like, you know, we've thought too much of ourselves and that we've got to reset the bar, if you will. Now, we didn't play well enough to beat Stanford. There were facets of the game that we could improve upon, many facets of the game we can improve upon. There's some things that are good to see that if we continue to build on will help us. But, you know, we knew it was a tough schedule. I don't think any of us anticipated 0-2. But here we are. And what you do when you're sitting at that place is you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you get ready for round 3.
But considering the second game is